Hi, welcome to your graffiti workshop at Festival2Funky, the online festival while we're going through this strange time. My name's Tim Ongar. I am a graffiti artist and artist based in Nottingham. I work for Baby People. I've been making work for a really long time, working with spray cans since about 1996. I have worked professionally as an artist for nearly 15 years now, but also pride myself on being a community worker, running art-based workshops, street art workshops, graffiti workshops for young people and adults, and today I'm going to be doing just that for you. So just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm from London originally, and I was very inspired as a young guy by the graffiti that I was seeing all around London. I'd go to school on the train and I'd see graffiti on the sides of the tracks, or I'd see graffiti in the streets, and I didn't really understand it. It was something that was really colourful, really bright, really charismatic, but I didn't know really what it was. Until much later on, and that would have been in the 80s that I was seeing that, and then met some friends who were really interested in graffiti, and the idea of structuring pieces of artwork for the public, and was shown loads of stuff about how to draw letters being like a really important part of graffiti. That's changed a lot over the years. The culture itself is really old. There's loads of kind of conversations at the moment happening about when really graffiti started as a subculture. My personal opinion is it sort of started in the 60s in America, but you can trace graffiti, which is from the Latin word graffito, which means markings on the wall, right the way back to cave people, which is a really fascinating thing. It seems like it's a human reaction to leave a mark somewhere, whether or not it's like cave paintings depicting animals telling stories about their hunting or their lifestyle, or whether or not it's Roman soldiers leaving their marks in buildings, or it's, you know, young people deciding to just leave their names around so their friends can see them. But graffiti's changed an awful lot in the last 20 years and has become so much more in the mainstream. Artists work with massive companies now all the time to produce sort of branding or to produce pattern-based work for companies like Sprite, Coca-Cola, Nike, all the sort of big companies you can think of. And it's definitely become a visual aid for young people to associate and understand certain kinds of brandings or certain kinds of companies because of the colour, because of the movement of the artworks and so on and so forth. Graffiti has turned into something now which we sort of reference as street art, but for me any kind of painting that is in the public space can fall into both of those categories, graffiti or street art. I'm really interested in the idea of it being a faceless artwork as well. Often artists that show in galleries become quite well known. We're going to be looking at some work by an artist called Andy Warhol a little bit today, because printing is definitely a massive part of graffiti culture now, and we're going to be doing some printing today. But Andy Warhol was almost an art piece in himself as a person, and it's kind of, everything's kind of moved on a lot now in the art world, and I think that graffiti and street art can be valued just as highly as artists, more well-known household name artists like Andy Warhol. And the example I'll give of that is the British artist Banksy, pretty much a household name now, which is outstanding for a graffiti or street artist to become one of the most important people in the art world. He sells his work for millions and millions of pounds in the gallery, but still works actively in the community and in public spaces. Recently he did a painting for the NHS relating back to COVID-19 and the coronavirus, which he did completely for free and was for public consumption. But a matter of a year ago, he was selling his printed canvases at auctions in London for nearly £25 million. So the idea of a graffiti artist transferring from the street and into the gallery space, it is something that's really predominant in art at the moment. Graffiti really and street art has no rules, which is something I really enjoy as an artist. It can be kind of whatever you want it to be. Like all art forms, there's a history, and knowing your history is really important. And certainly the traditional aspects of graffiti came out of New York in the 70s and the 80s, and that was very much based around constructions of letters. One of the most interesting things about that was in the 60s there was a prophecy saying that art would change and become very much about letters, something that it had not seen before through eras of painting like the Renaissance era, where it was pretty much figurative painting of people, portraiture, landscapes, and also sort of still life painting of flowers, fruit and vases. And then suddenly in the 70s and the 80s, people started to experiment a little bit more with sort of abstract forms, abstract shapes, and that kind of transferred over into letter writing. And definitely graffiti in the 70s and the 80s in New York was very much based around letters and forming of letters, something which personally as an artist I'm really interested in. I've been making letter paintings for over 20 years. I've worked with loads of different organisations, loads of different artists. I've been lucky enough to paint all over Europe, Berlin, Vienna, Barcelona, Copenhagen, Paris, to name a few, as well as all over the UK. I really enjoy making huge mural paintings in the public space, something that kind of is legal commissions that work directly with organisations or businesses to promote their business, give it a kind of fresh feel. In Derby, I work with the Rattling Drum, the Drum Centre, and I have a huge painting on the side of that building. I've worked with organisations based in Nottingham, Broadway Cinema, where we constructed, alongside 6 artists and Broadway Cinema's management team, a 3-storey mural based around films, but with a graffiti element, which was a great project to be involved in. I've worked with BBC One Extra, promoting certain events and things that they've done, making graffiti paintings, and I say graffiti because they were letter based. I've worked with hip-hop producers to make music videos. Recently I worked with Sony Records and Run the Jewels, who are a New York hip-hop group. We produced a huge painting for one of their music videos, as well as having my work used by Skepta, grime artist from the UK. But for me, creativity is the most important thing. I like to explore patterns in my studio work, and I've exhibited my studio paintings, which are very different to my graffiti or street art based works, all over the UK. I've just recently had an exhibition in Brick Lane in London, alongside some other artists, which was based around my studio work. I've exhibited in Bristol and Nottingham, and worked for Montana Spray Cans, an organisation that makes spray paint basically, and I've exhibited for them a number of times. So that's kind of a little bit about what I am. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. So as I said to you, printing is a huge part of graffiti, and I know that not everybody has access to spray cans. So I've kind of devised a task today which is aimed at absolutely everybody. Everybody can get involved in this. It's a printing based task. It's kind of loosely inspired by pop art, loosely inspired by Andy Warhol and how he was making work, but is a large part of street art because it's colourful, it's very vibrant. The pop art scene in the 60s and the 70s in New York was a huge influence to graffiti writers at that time, where graffiti came from, and there were definitely some big crossover artists. You might have heard of the artist Keith Haring, who it sits in the middle between a pop artist and a graffiti artist. He was linked in with a pop artist because of the colours and the vibrancy of his work, but also was making sort of wall paintings, and that's a massive part of graffiti and street art, as well as more established studio exhibition artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat, who was considered to be one of the most influential gallery exhibiting artists in the 80s. He kind of sits in that line between pop art, graffiti and the gallery. So what are we going to make today? We're going to make a thing called a blotted line painting. A blotted line print or a blotted line painting is a really simple form of printing that anybody can do. You really don't need loads of resources. We are going to just have a go at it. I'm going to go along with you, and I'm just going to talk you through a few of the things that you're going to need. Okay, so firstly, you're going to need to find a magazine. Okay, a magazine with an image that you really like. So I have got a magazine here. This is the image I've chosen. If you're borrowing a magazine from someone at home, just make sure that you've got permission to use it, because we are going to cut it up and we're going to draw onto that to make our print. I've chosen this image because it's kind of an archetypal Roy Lichtenstein pop artist style image. It's large, it's pretty much A4, which is going to make it a lot easier for us to create our print. All right, so a magazine. Going to need some scissors, and just be careful with them, all right, because we're going to be using those to cut our image out. We're going to need some sellotape or some masking tape or any kind of tape. We're going to need white paper or any colour paper. Lighter the better, white's best, and I've just got a pad here which I'm going to take a page out of. We're going to need to have, now this is the important factor for us, okay, to make this blotted line print work. We're going to need to use an inky pen, okay, an inky pen or a paint pen. A biro really isn't going to cut it, so you kind of need to find something which lets a lot of ink out or lets a lot of paint out. I'm going to be using Poscas. Poscas are great, you can pick them up at loads of art shops, you can order them online as well. So if you don't have an inky pen, maybe look at getting a Posca. They're under a £5, they're great for artists. They let a lot of ink out, and that's what we need for our blotted line print. And the last thing we're going to need is some watercolours. Okay, so a set of watercolours with some brushes, as well as just a little tub of water to clean our brushes and get our paint going. So that is our equipment for our blotted line print. It takes about 20 minutes to get a really great image going, and maybe 5 minutes for painting, because the painting process is really quick. I'm going to be doing this in over the next sort of half an hour with you, so I'm going to do it really slowly, stage by stage by stage. Follow along with me. You know, go for it, see how you get on. With choosing your image, it is important to choose an image that is big, that's going to fill a page, okay? The bigger it is, the easier it is going to be to print. If you work with a very small image, you're probably not going to get any detail in it, okay? And as I said, this is blotted line printing, so it has a real certain aesthetic, something which definitely lends itself to graffiti and street art because it's quite raw. It has drips, it has splats, explosions of paint, but should look really quirky and really fun, and you can definitely achieve a very high standard of work with this. So follow along. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into the camera into another place so you can exactly see the process as we're working, so just bear with me a moment while I do that. Okay, so you should be able to see my desk where I'm working in my studio. My studio is quite messy, so please excuse that. I've got paint all over everything. You probably don't want to get paint all over everything. So, first of all, magazine. We're going to cut our image straight out of our magazine. Now, I got a pretty cool magazine here. It's one I picked up from a jumble sale. It's a old movie magazine from the 70s. but you can use any image at all. You can use pop stars that you like, you could use rappers that you like, film stars you like, celebrities. Really doesn't matter because it works all the same. Okay, so I've cut my image out, so I've got that on one solid bit. I'm not going to need my watercolours or my water just yet, so I'm just going to move them out the way so that they don't get knocked over, spilt, or get in our way. All right. What I am going to need to do is take my page out of my white paper, out of my book. So I'm going to do that. You don't need specialist paper. Any kind of paper will do. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that. So what have I got in front of me? I've got an image from a magazine and I've got a piece of paper. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a hinged book. All right. So using my tape, I'm just going to find the end of the tape. I'm just going to create a hinge between these two things, between my image and between my piece of paper. Now, a really good thing to do is think about whereabouts on the page you want your image to go. All right. So my main thing I'm going to be working on is this section, okay? The two people, the couple, my Roy Lichtenstein style piece of work. So I want to position that so his head is sitting in the center of the page and the bottom of the image is sort of there. So I'm going to create a hinge between my image and my paper by sticking it down with tape. All right. Now I want to do a good hinge. And I'm going to show you what I mean by a hinge by adding another piece of tape, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I've stuck those together and look, here's my hinge. All right, just ignore this guy on the back because this is the image we're working from. So, okay, a hinge. I've taped together my image, which is on the left hand side, and my blank paper, which is on the right hand side. All right, and I can fold it over, and that is the integral part of this process. Okay, it's the ability to be able to fold over. So I'm going to get rid of my tape, get rid of my scissors, put them to one side because I'm not going to need them. All right, I'm going to take a seat so you can see this process. Great. So sitting comfortably. Now my two pens. All right, my two pens, really inky pens. That's the most important factor, is having an inky pen. We're going to be working one line at a time. Okay, we're going to be working one line at a time, and you're going to see what I mean when I do this. So I'm going to charge up my pen. Now, I actually am a little bit messy in my studio, so I'm going to charge up my pen. And as you can see, a lot of ink comes out of these pens. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one line at a time, and you're going to see the blotted line process. So I'm going to draw straight over the top of my image, and I'm going to press it down, not too hard. And what you'll see is it starts to transfer. Now, I had a lot of ink on that pen, so I want to make sure I'm just getting some of the ink off. And what you'll see is, as I build this up, one line at a time, I can start to create quite a neat print. Now it's in reverse, and as you can see, that was his forehead and that was his nose. So I'm going to keep adding stuff on. Let's put his eyebrow on. And again, I'm just pressing down exactly where his eyebrow was. Let's get some of this ink off of this pen. Okay. And I'm going to keep adding one line at a time. Closing my hinge and pressing down really gently, and I'm transferring the ink from the magazine page across. Now you can see, look, it's quite interesting really. You can start to see the form, his eyebrow, his nose, and the bit of the mouth I put in. Let's give that a bit of a clean down again. Now, the eyes and the nose are really tricky, all right? It's really tricky, and that's why I've started with this bit first, because I want to show you the harder bits first, and as you become more confident, we can work a little bit quicker, okay? We can work a little bit quicker. So there is never a rush. So I am going to do one line at a time. I put on a really small section there of his eye. And I'm just transferring it over. My hinge. Now look, you're starting to get the form of a human face. Now we had a big splatty bit there. That's okay, because that's part of blotted line. But we also had like a broken up line for the nose, and that's great as well. That's part of the process, really. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that strange, broken and unusual line. You've got to remember, if you've got a very inky pen, you just want to keep getting the paint off of it. You don't want too much paint transferring, and you definitely don't want to press down too hard on your magazine page, okay? So let's go for the next bit. Bottom of the mouth and a bit of the chin. And as you can see, I'm just being super gentle. I'm putting one line on at a time to transfer it. And as you can see, we're starting to get the form of that face. Now I can be a bit more defined here. I'll put a bit more of his chin on. Okay, just transferring gently. Okay, so we're doing all right, we're getting there. Let's put a bit more of his mouth on now. And again, it's a slow process, but your finished result will look absolutely great. So we've got a little bit of his head forming here. Now to give it a bit more definition, to make it look more like a head, let's get some of his hairline on. That's really going to give it some shape now. And as you can see, it was just one line, not too much ink. There we go. Okay, let's give this pen just to get a little bit of the ink off of it. So again, keeping in my one line at a time method, really delicately putting on the ear. Don't want to over ink things like that, these small details. It's a bit easier when you come to larger lines, but the small details like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ear of your image, they're where the detail is. That's what's really going to make it work. There we go, we've got a little bit of his ear. Let's just put in a little bit more, just to make it a bit more ear-like. Now at the moment it's still looking a little bit nuts, it's still looking a little bit crazy, okay? But the more we add to it, the more defined it will be. So look, we've started to get a little bit more of a human face happening here. And again, you can see that broken line. You can see that printed line, because we're printing straight from this image straight across, right? So let's start working a little bit with his hair, all right? So I'm going to add in his parting. Adding in his parting. This is going to define the top of his head a lot more now. Yeah, here we go. And then the top part of his head. And again, it's one line at a time. I'm saying it a lot, but it's definitely the process. Okay. So we've got some of that. We're going to put detail in his hair a little bit later on, but we're going to just keep going, getting the shape, all right? We're going to keep going, getting the shape, and then we'll move on to the lady in the process. But let's just get him sorted out as much as we can first. Also wanted to show you how quick this is to create an image. All right. Still going. Okay, so we've got like a man's head really formed here. We'll get some more of the detail of the back of the hair on, I think, here. Now there's loads of detail we're missing from the hair, but we're going to come back to that at the end because that's going to be really defined with our colours that we're going to use, our watercolours we're going to use later. So let's just put on his shirt collar and his tie and the rest of his jacket, I think, and that will do, and we'll move on to the woman next. So let's start with his collar of his shirt. I'm going to put that on like that. Hopefully you're having a success at home with your image that you're working on. Remember my first line was really bulky, really blurry. It's kind of cool because it kind of defines his head a little bit. And when we add colour, it's going to change it again because you're going to be able to define certain areas. But if you are getting splatty lines, just work with them. And if you're getting broken up lines like we're getting here, that's fine as well, that's what we want. And I'll talk to you a little bit about how we can either change that or work with it more later on as we go. Right, let's get his tie on, because he's smart, this guy. He's got a tie on. So there's the knot. And as you can see, when I'm pressing down, I'm just using the tip of my finger. I'm focusing where the ink was put to get it printed. Okay, there's his knot of his tie. Now, we don't want to blur her hand. So I'm just going to put that on like that and leave the gap for her hand, because we're going to put that on in a bit. Another fiddly bit of the hand. We're working with other areas first. Hopefully everyone's doing all right with this. So let's just get the back of his jacket on. Okay. Now we're really starting to take shape here now. And then let's get his collar on down to her thumb. Again, don't be careful how much ink you're putting on it, just be very cautious. You kind of get used to it after a while. I've definitely got a bit more used to this process myself whilst I'm doing it, and hopefully you will be now. Remember, take your time though, no big rush. Alright? Okay, so look, we're getting it defined. That's kind of good. Let's start working on her. Alright, let's start now with the top of her forehead. Right, let's get that on. I'm going to start speeding up a little bit. Great, that's on. Her nose. Okay, more delicate area around the mouth. Okay, being very gentle. Okay, that's worked really well. I think we're going to get a good one here. Just the mouth there. Get that over. And again, like those more delicate, smaller areas, you've got to be really careful, really take your time, no rush. Right, let's put her eye on. Yeah, so we're starting to get there. If we put her eyebrow on, that's going to really help give the definition of the face. Okay, right. We're looking good here, we're looking good. We're really starting to create our image now. We're printing it over the whole time. Let's get in the line of her hair. Now, as you can see, that's quite a long line, that one, but that's going to be all right. You don't want to leave too long between drawing the line and printing it. It's a really quick process, this. But there it is, alright. Okay, let's get on the top of our hair here. So what we should have now is our guy and our woman, and they're just about to kiss like in our image, which is great, which is really nice, which is a really strong image. Okay, let's move on to some other details now. We're going to put the hair in later. We're going to wait right till the end to put the hair in. Let's just work on now the hand, because they're in an embrace. So let's just work on that. Remember, one line at a time. Now, with things like this, it doesn't need to be perfect. There's something nice in the broken line effect, the blotted line effect, but also just it being a little bit raw. I mean, that doesn't really look like anything at the moment. I'm just going to reposition myself just to do that. Part of his hand. If you miss it and it's not a great trace over, that's okay. It's not a problem. People will be able to work it out. Now you can start to tell that's a bit of a hand. Okay, so that's a good one like that. We're doing all right. We're down to our last bits really, I think, before we start adding the colour. Okay, so that was a good long line. This is really going to break that hand up for us now. Really going to see that hand. Look at that. Okay, really great effect. The line's looking kind of broken. It's looking sort of blotted, kind of unusual. Remember, you're printing. Let's get that cuff on. And then we'll get the back of his arm on, and that's really going to make it look as if they're embracing. Great. Brilliant. Now, bring that around to there. Great thing about this task is anybody can do this. As long as you take your time, you're going to be absolutely fine. Now I think we're going to leave out some of the major details in this image, like the boat in the background and stuff, and you'll see why in a second, because we're going to sort of pop art it up by adding some crazy colours to it, but we're still in our printing process right now. So look, there's the embrace starting to happen. Now what we need to do is we need to put in the rest of her arm. So let's start by bringing down top of her arm there, over on print. This is really going to start to give us the real shape now, the real image. And again, if you get any blurs or any splodges, that's okay, it can work. It looks part of the aesthetic of the painting, and what I mean in aesthetic is that kind of rough, broken line. That's what we're looking for. The colours we add at the end are really going to help us define that anyway and make it work. Now she's looking like she is holding on to him, so let's just put in the thumb. Remember, line at a time. You can see how much time I'm taking to do these things. You might want to take a bit longer. Okay, there's the thumb. Now working with the fingers. Get that one on. Here we go. Now the next finger. Those sort of details of hands, ears, eyes, mouth, you know, just take a bit longer to do them. Do them a bit at a time. That's what's going to make it really work. Okay, that one there. Great. Her hand's really taking shape now. And let's work that bit down. Lovely, and then the rest of our arm down there. Now, it's getting a bit complicated down at this part, up near our elbows and stuff, because we've got writing over it, so we might improvise a little bit with that. We might kind of just sort of see how we get on. So I think we'll put in the back of our arm there. So you see I sort of made that bit up. I can kind of see underneath the letters where our arm is, but not totally. Okay, there it is, look at that. Now that's looking pretty dramatic, pretty dramatic. Let's just put in her back there. And we have pretty much printed our image. Okay, so that's pretty much our image. Now we're going to add a few details for his hair. We'll kind of make it up. So what we want to do is we want to kind of just add a few bits of dark colour into his hair. A few bits, not loads, because we're going to use watercolours over the top of that. So let's get that on. Kind of improvising a little bit that, using your artistic eye. Look, straight away it's giving them a bit more definition. We'll get a bit more in there and a bit there. Look at that. Let's get a little bit on the top of his parting. Looking pretty good, I think. Looking pretty good. So next, let's just do her hair. Now, there's a lot of detail in her hair, so you might want to just follow that a little bit. Again, we're just giving like a little bit of it, a bit of an essence of it. Don't want to go too crazy. Following the curves of her hair. Again, with something like this, you might want to take a bit more time. What I'm doing is I'm doing it really fast. Okay, and then I'm going to use my artistic eye to make an assessment. Where do I need to add more? I kind of need some down here and a little bit there, I think. Doing good. It's looking all right. Let's get a bit on the back of her hair. I think it's important just to kind of improvise a little bit. You don't want to fill it in though. You don't want it to be all black. You just want marks because we're going to use our watercolours to define the hair a little bit. Now that's looking pretty cool. Let's just add her sleeve there. Again, you need to start now looking at your image. What bits are you missing? Where does it not look quite right? It's not looking great here. There needs to be a bit more detail. So I'm going to look at the picture and I'm going to see that there's actually a couple of lines in there that I can put in. Doing good, doing real good. Look at that now, that's really defined it. Really defined it. We're looking good. Now, what else are we missing? Anything else we could sort of add? Let's improvise a bit. Let's put in another line there. Fill that gap. Again, this is where you start to get creative. You should have a real feel for your image now. I mean, that is looking pretty spectacular, I think. We've done a good job. Hopefully you've kind of got that as well. You've got a similar thing going with your image. But look, I'm going to point out to you in a little bit closer detail this blotted line effect. Look at how the line is sort of broken up. That's blotted line. That's where we've printed it. So you've got a couple of options now. Personally, I really love that blotted line effect. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. But you could, if you wanted to, if you're not so keen on it, go back over the top of all the lines that you've printed now with your pen and make them really defined, okay? So you're almost drawing over the top of your print to get them defined so it looks like you've drawn it. I personally really enjoy the blotted line thing. So, all right, let's move on to the next bit. So we don't need our pens anymore, they're done. What we're going to need is our watercolours. So here's my watercolours here, all right? Now, Andy Warhol made his work really bright, really colourful, okay? So my watercolours and my water, keep being careful not to spill it. So I'm going to turn this blotted line print into a real quick Andy Warhol. So I'm going to use a really bright colour. I'm going to use this orange, okay? I'm going to use this orange, really bright colour. And I'm actually just going to go around the outside of my painting real quick and just get it sort of blocked in, looking a little bit mad. Trying to be as neat as I can. A bit more water, a bit more paint. So I want to just quickly pick out. Now I'm using a wash brush, so a brush that does large areas. If you haven't got one of those, it's fine, just take your time. The nice thing about blotted line printing is because it's so kind of crazy, because it's so strange, you don't really need to be super neat. So again, I'm going to start down here. Just going to wash that up. Cut in around her hair. I'm just going to smudge that paint, just bring that paint all around. And what we've done already is we've made it kind of interesting just because it's all white on that orange, which is pretty cool. So let's just smear some more paint in around here, get that looking right. Now you could be really super detailed with this. You could add another colour in behind them if you wanted. Watercolours, really quick, really vibrant, really fun. Let's just do the top of his head. Okay. Sure, you're nice and tight to the line. Now, a nice trick is just be consistent with your brush marks. So I'm just going to send all of mine from the top in an upwards direction. And that's just going to make it look a little bit more consistent. Try and be as kind of clean and as smooth with it as you can. I'm doing this super quick for you. Got 5 minutes to get this done. You might want to take a little bit more time working your background. You can even work right to the edge of the page, but I'm just going to do it like this, just for speed and ease. But you know, you can use your artistic eye to get that right. So look, there we go. We've separated them from the background. Let's get a little bit more around the embrace. I'm just going to send that down, looking sharp. Okay. All right. Okay, so give my brush a quick clean. So Andy Warhol used loads of mad colours. He kind of changed people's images. You might be aware of the Marilyn Monroe portrait that he did, where he did several of them, and she was just multicoloured. It was not real to life, and that is fantastic. That's what we're going to try and do today. So I'm going to change some stuff. So rather than give her blonde hair, I think we'll use something a little bit weird. Let's give her green hair. So we're going to use some green hair. Now we don't want too much of the water, too much of the paint on there. We want it quite watery. Alright, so I'm adding quite a bit of water. Alright, and I'm just going to give her hair just a real wash of green. Now as you can see, my black has dried, so my watercolours are just going straight over the top of them, which is great. Let's get a bit more paint on there. Got to remember where her hairline is though. Don't want to get on her face. She doesn't want to have a green face. And I'm just working that right in. I mean, you can, if you choose to, be a little bit more realistic with your colours. It really doesn't matter. The one thing I love about art is there is no rules. But I think she looks great with kind of green hair, and that's pretty cool. Now let's give him something really dramatic. So let's give him sort of like a blue hair. So I'm getting a good bit of blue on there. And I give him sort of a crazy amount of blue. And as you can see, the watercolour just goes straight over the black, but you still get that definition of the black. Now look at that. It's already looking pretty interesting. Keep inside the hairline. Concentrate when you're doing it, don't go too wild. Okay, it's looking pretty cool there. So let's give her a dress. Now let's try and think about what colours, but with really vibrant colours here. So I'm going to go yellow. Let's go yellow. Let's give her a super yellow dress. Get a good bit of water on the watercolour. Cut him right in, neat and nice, inside the fingers area. If you overlap the line, it's cool. There's something about that. Remember that she's sort of got a sleeveless dress though, so we kind of want to keep remembering our image. What's nice is we've got our image on the other side, so we can work with that. And look, there's a little bit of her dress showing there, so I'm being super careful to get that on. All right, let's give his suit and tie and shirt a colour. I think we'll leave his shirt white. I think let's be conventional, but let's give his suit, look, what about this really dark colour? It's like purple. Might be pretty cool. So let's get that on. Now I've spotted that it goes right up in here. I'm referring to my image. I'm going to leave a little bit for his tie. Okay, right in, neat as I can. Something quite nice about a little bit of the white markings left though, in between the lines, or blurring. Andy Warhol definitely blurred some of his colours together. Remember, don't let the paint get too watery. You want a bit of colour on there. I'm going to show you a great trick in a minute. And the last thing we're going to do once we've done this is we are going to do is tie. Let's get a bit more water on that. There he is. He's looking smart. And the last thing we'll do is we'll do a tie, and let's do orange like the background. I think that'll look pretty good. Bit of orange on there, like that. Now you can spend loads longer working on your colours, getting your idea of your colours right. You can also get loads more paint on, get a little bit more dark kind of tones going. If you're interested in using watercolour, you can create really great tonality by adding less water and more paint. Let's just get that on there like that. Give that brush a good clean. Just get a bit more darker colour in his hair at the top. You know, you can create a little bit more interest by adding a bit more colour. Okay, and let's work on the green of her hair. Make sure my brush is nice and clean. Let's get a bit of the darker colour in there, just in a few places. Less water, more paint. If you want to darken areas up, and then you get a nice kind of build up of colour in certain areas. Okay, so look, there is our pretty simple Andy Warhol print. I'll hold it up to the camera so you can see a little bit more. So, thanks a lot for coming down. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you found a really interesting image to work with. Remember, follow the steps line by line. Be as slow as you can. You don't need to rush. I've done this super quick. The more time you take, the better result you will get. But that is blotted line printing, like Andy Warhol.
Hey guys, my name is Busy and I'm a graffiti artist from Leicester. So my journey, I've been a graffiti artist since age 7, and it's been quite a bit of a journey, to be honest. But it's got me a lot of places, you know, don't get me wrong. I started doodling on the streets and stuff. Well, that's where it all began, you know, and got in trouble. So I don't go out there now to vandalize any properties or anything like that. I teach positive graffiti and how we could benefit from the art. So I really do some good stuff, you know. I've since a young age, I've developed my skills, and I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I used to do. So the things I do with graffiti art, I've created like canvases. So here's a canvas that I've created for a friend, Super Cedric, and it's got his lot of beautiful colours on there. So we're just gonna take you on a journey. So what I do, I created big canvases like that, and I end up selling them. I do a lot of sketch work, so like Popeye I've done a lot of like animals, hedgehog graffiti style, sketch work with creating characters. Yeah, characters was one of my learning points of developing the eyes and how we can create these characters. Also did something for a wholesaler in fabric and fashion, SB. That was done on a big wall, and the big wall was massive. So I went down with a big ladder and started painting on the walls with spray cans. I started using spray cans as well at a young age. Just wanted to develop my skills. Pardon me. So in my backyard, I had this spare space, and I used to go out there, just create and just create these letters. You know, I wouldn't advise anyone to go out there to really actually go out there and spray anything until you're familiar with your writing skills and with all the letters. So soon in the next video, I'm going to be showing you techniques step by step how to construct these graffiti letters. Let's go back to what I was going to show you. So I also created alphabets. So that went well at age 7. Sold them quite a bit and did more commission work. So I did an art piece called K Cuts, and that was for a hairdresser. So you see, it can go a long way, and you can get commission work, and as soon as you get better and better, you can. So from that stage, I did colour, and after adding colour, this is how it looked on the wall. So I used the same, so that's how it looked on the wall, K Cuts. And on the other side of the wall, I did a few characters based on hairdressers. Hairstyles, funky look, afro look, punky look. And what you see here is what I'm going to be teaching you in the next video. So these are the things. Also did I start off with doing sketch work. So it's just sketch work, normal sketch work. And also these are my little pictures of animals. Then I go on to doing sketch work like this. So you can, guys, create different images. These are when I was young. So I'm just showing you things that when I was young, I started practicing and practicing and practicing, practice. So this is another one. It's called Don't Lie. And that was using pencil crayons, which was fabulous. That was really good. And that looked like that. That was perfect. So 3D and stuff. Here we are. There we are. We've got the green in there, dark green. Pencil crayons are really good. Also created a logo doing one of the summer courses. So created a flyer with it was called The Power of One, and this is what it's about. Turning the negativity into positivity. Created a lot of figures as well, character wise, in graffiti. There's loads we can do, you know. I did that when I was young, worked in a few schools, and that was my graffiti workshops. And then I went on developing my art skills. And you see all of this, you could add, worked at Moat Community College, got into schools, started doing workshops and doing workshops with Humberston Juniors. This dated 2010, and that was the learning thing that we did there. And there we are. There is me teaching the young kids how to do graffiti art, and they love it. It's fun. It's an enterprising arts project where I teach about different things. So from there got into tattooing as well, so designing different sorts of tattoos, different sorts of figures, different sorts of ideas, and I was just playing around with eyes, because when you create graffiti, the eyes are important, how we develop them. And then I started developing canvases. So here's a canvas, another one. Oh, there we are, a London piece there. I did that, and that was done by using spray paint. And here's another one using spray paint. And if you go down here, here's another one there. And basically, you see behind me, there's a lot of art behind me there. And I just like creating different things. So I just try to be as much positive as I can to develop more things. And here's another one. How about that one? There, that's on my wall of, yep, with a beach effect. And we could go a long way. So if you follow me, I've created these. So I'm going to put them here. Spray cans. So these spray cans are empty. And That's what they look like. So, yep. So there's a lot of things that we could do with art. You know, you just got to go out there and explore and see what works for you. And in the next couple of minutes, I'll be showing you how to create these beautiful letters. And it's pretty simple. You don't need any experience, and it's just fun. Just enjoy it. It's have fun, you know, develop your skills and turn the negativity into positivity. And this is what it's about. You could, these graffiti art sessions can bring a lot of things into your life. So, you know, the more you practice, the more value you get, the more things you could get, the more opportunities will come. So that's what graffiti is about. You know, it's not about vandalism. It's just about positivity and going the right way. And more doors will open for you. And you could get into art classes and share what you know. I mean, at my age, at age 7, I became a top graffiti artist of the whole school. Not only in primary school, secondary school, university, and out there with many businesses. I still do a lot of commissions, and my next video that I'm gonna share with you is going to be based on how to construct these letters and how to put effects on there, just as some of the stuff that you've seen from the past, which is going to be quite appealing to you. So I've always thought out the box, and this is what I want to share with you. So go out there. All you need is a pen, paper, pencil, and some felt tips. If you got crayons, that's fine. Use whatever you got, you know. But it's all about just practice, practice, practice. And the more better you get, the more you can share it, just like me. And that's it. And just enjoy it. So guys, I'll see you soon. Check it out. Busy Graffiti. Peace. Welcome to the Festival2Funky. I'm your host, Busy the Artist. Well, I'm here to today teach you about how to construct graffiti letters and get you of learning something new. So those who are got no experience, it doesn't matter. Get involved. This is the time and place during this lockdown. So I'm going to take you on this journey, creating step-by-step alphabet letters and creating a little word. So grab your pens and paper and let's get going. So let's start over here. Right, so to create our letters, we're going to start off, let's just grab one piece of paper and we're going to do the letter A. So I'm just going to draw a nice A like that. Now see what I'm doing. When we get towards the end of the letter, we leave a gap. And that's where I focus on creating the second letter B. And take it from there. And go around by doing a C. And that's how simple it is. Basically, you just create and envision the letters in through your head. So next step is we get a darker pen, and with this dark pen we'll just do a thick border around the letters around there, so basically we can see them nice and finely. So you don't need any experience, but all you got to do is leave a gap. Leave a gap towards the end of the letters. There we are. So graffiti wise, I started this when I was like age 7, and I got intrigued of seeing the bright colors on walls and the black books that we used to get, and I seen a lot of good art, and since that day I wanted to become an artist, and then I wanted to learn more graffiti, and which I did. So it took me about 3 years to get practice, and I started doing it. So the next thing we do, we get a lighter color, which is I'm going to go for a light green, and I'm going to just do a light green around it. So basically we're illuminating the letters. There we are. That's it. All around the ABC. Yeah. There. 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 So this graffiti constructing letters is pretty easy, and the secret behind graffiti is just leaving a gap at the end of the letter, and that's how you sort of construct your graffiti letters. There we are. Green there. Guys, you could take your time doing this. No rush. And I've done many workshops throughout the UK doing this, and people have enjoyed it. It's also mind therapy, where you started thinking out the box. And that's what pretty good thing about this graffiti art thing is about. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab another pen. You can grab any color you want. I'm just going to start doing some bubbles around inside. Small one, medium ones, big ones. Not everywhere, only a few places. And that sort of brings it out, and that's the good thing about it. Now as we use the green, I'm going to put some bubbles around here, around there, around there, around there, and around there. Okay, so with these bubbles we can color them in, and what we're going to do, we're going to color them only 3/4 of it, leaving half a moon style around the bubbles, which gives the bubbles a highlight. So yeah, as I was saying, my story, started doing the workshops, became a young graphic designer at the age of 16 after with all the experiences. And yeah, that was my journey, and I started just doing graffiti art, commission work. And this can take you a long way. It opens up a lot of realms and a lot of what's it called, different types of art that we can do using this art. So here we are, we've done our bubbles. So the next thing we're going to do is another effect, is we're going to do some drips from the letters where we see. So it gives that sort of effect that the sort of drips are there. We'll do one there. Okay, there. How about there? Okay, so that gives it a nice effect. And so the next stage is, we'll grab another piece of paper and we could do another set of letters. And this time I'm going to use a red. So ABC is done. We're going to go with DEF. So once again, if you follow, do a D, do a E, and we could do an F. and we'll do the F following here. And we can put a curve there, why not? There we are. So the DEF is there. Same again. We highlight it all around, giving a big boost to the letters. It's really important that we actually highlight the letters. And see how therapeutic it is with your mind, just relaxing and just concentrating on what's around, enjoying time. And I love doing graffiti because it's took me very long places, far places in fact, of meeting new people, different age range. Got involved with schools, doing workshops, graphic designers, and then with the public doing commission work. And also, yeah, many places it can take you. So as I've used red, I'm going to draw a couple of hearts, miss. I mean, you could use the imagination, you know, however you guys want to do it. So you can do it with hearts. Same again. There. There. A small one. So if you're doing big hearts, do some small ones as well. It gives the actual picture a big lift. Right. So now we've done this, we could even add arrows. So where I've got this, I can push and do an arrow here. And arrows are really important as well in graffiti, because it emphasizes the whole image as graffiti art. There we are, we highlight that. And you can put arrows anywhere you want, you know. It's one of them things where you just have to play around with what you've got. So yeah, this Festival2Funky is really good. It brings young people together. All age range of artists come together and have different opportunities of doing different things with the arts. So get involved with the Festival2Funky. So just drawn some lines there, and these lines basically help the letters sort of shine and gives that 3D, not 3D, but that shine of effect that is shining. So there we've done a few lines. Now another thing I'm going to show you is going back to the red, is where we see the corners, just push them lines down, every corner that we see. There we are, like that, even from the top. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to join them up. So we're going to join that one there, there, that goes there, and follow the lines as we see. You see the bold lines? Follow the lines. That's the secret. Follow them. So then we've constructed our 3D letters. And we were here. We could do a line there. And we could do a line there. Right? Right, so that's your DEF. We can add bubbles inside. So I'm using the red, using bubbles, bubbles there, bubbles there, bubbles here, and there, and there. So that gives a little color. So if you want to add any more color, you can do. So I'm gonna go in with the blue, and we could start coloring, and we could even add shapes in there. You know, there's different sorts of shapes. Anyhow, It's like a, there we are, we like the blue. Just do it how you, where your mind takes you, you know. Got the blue there. And we could do a blue there. It doesn't matter, you know, how you do it. And it's all about having fun. So you could do the same with a different color. I'm going in with a yellow. So it's like just like I'm drawing like a P. Shape it there. And I'll shape there. A yellow there. How about that? How about making that thicker? Go there. And I'll probably grab an orange and I will do the same round here. So I'm just going to follow that line, make that thick. A little block there. And you could colour it however you want. Pencil crayons are also good with this art because you could do shading, and shading is really good. It gives a nice effect. There we are. Now going back to where we did our 3D, there's this thing called barcoding, and it's just simple lines like we see in packages, and they go from thick to thin. And if we do it where the letters are, it brings like the letters are shining, and you could do it wherever you want, thin ones, thick ones. That's it. There we are. Let's do a few here. How about that? And we'll do a thin line there, another line there, another thick line there. We'll stop there, over there, and there. That's, and there. Do one there. And it's just sort of blocking it all off, really, to be honest. It's fun. It's good. And as we've done there, we'll do that, there, and we'll put a line there. So there we are. The DEF is there with love hearts. Now, when we're doing graffiti, we could also add characters. So I'm going to draw a character. It's like the Lego people. So we could draw a Lego man. So I'm going to start with doing a rectangle there. Then I'm going to do a square there. And I'll put a smiley face for him. How about that? And this eye. How about that there? Another rectangle will go there. And it doesn't matter if you do a mistake. It's all part of learning. So, you know, don't worry about it. Then we'll do another square here. A big square there. And we'll stop there. Then I'm just going to do like the arm part there. Join that there. And we'll do a thick hand there. That goes there. I'll put another rectangle here. And we'll do another rectangle there. And then we'll put a triangle here. And one there. And another one there. And then as he's there, we could do like a cone, like an ice cream cone. And we could put a line here. And we could do a bubble there. And if you do these lines, it's like he's got a microphone. You can put some symbols on there. There we are. And we could do writing to funky. So there we are. That's simple as that. All we need to do is create letters from scratch, A, B, C. It doesn't matter how it's done. It's simple. So I'm going to show you another thing with another letter. So when we construct, I'm just going to go back to the basics. When we construct, we could do the letter A. So let's say that's our A. And we're just sort of going to stretch the letters out. So we can start adding blocks and arrows. And let's say we want to put an arrow there. And maybe sort of link that from there to there. And we want to make this bigger, so I want to just pull it out there. And the whole idea is once you've played around with this letter, you could do this by using pencil, and then you could add things to it, you know. Be creative, imaginative. So you've done all this, right? And this is what happens. The magic is in the art. So we grab another piece of paper, and where we've seen those lines, these lines here, we're just going to delete them. So when we get another piece of paper, we'll just go over all of what we've done, and I'll stretch that out there. And draw the arrow there. And there. So from that, we've created a graffiti letter using arrows. And what we're going to do now is the same thing, show you the same effects, highlight the arrows, the red, and the rest of the letters. So that's how you construct letters, and you could do that with any letter. You know, play around with it, play around with it. Just go wild. Add pictures, add flowers, anything you could think of, just put it in there. It's all about experimenting, and that makes you think out the box for you to be creative. So there we have our A. So once we've done our A, I'm going in with another color, and this color I'm going to use is an orange. So I'll just do an orange. There we are. Just do a nice thick orange there, and even inside there, and just around there. And graffiti art does bring a lot of opportunities, and you can get into courses like graphic designs where you could actually create good typography, and you know, maybe even sell alphabets, creating your different typography, which I did in the past, which was good. I'll probably put some bubbles in there, and a few there. There we are. Okay, so that's our thingy, A, and now I'm going to blast it out with a yellow. So what I've created is a fire effect there. That's it. Go in with there, and colour all of that in there, in there, in there, there. Don't rush it like I am, you know, just take your time of colouring and make sure it's sharp. Flow the pen around, flow it. So you see now we've got this fire effect, which is booming. booming. And that's what we're here to do at this Festival2Funky. I've got a page as well. It's Graffiti Academy on Instagram, so you guys can follow me where I do workshops around the UK. I also do home murals for anyone that's interested. So yeah, follow me at Busy Academy. So yeah, what's the next thing we could do? So we've done this fire effect. We've gone from doing the DEF and we've done a character, and we've done the ABC with bubbles. And this is the basics of what it is. So with this, I created something earlier using the fire effect, and I wrote the word "too funky." And as you see on this picture, I've added some buildings on it. So just shape your buildings. It's just like squares, highlight it. Same effect, bubbles inside, yellow, red, orange. And this is pretty simple. And you get nice pieces of artwork by doing things like that. Another one where we did the drips is what I did with the ABC. Is that with using black and pink. That gives a good effect as well. Think about the colors you use, you know, what goes with the blue and what goes with like maybe a green. So think about the color coordinations, and this art is really good. So that is what I'm here to teach you about. So what else? So if there's other letters that we want to do, is you could just start sketching. Let's say I'm going to write the word zoo. So just think out the box how it's going to be, you know, and write the word zoo. And I love zoos. So as I love zoo, I could do a nice heart here, there, and I could do a big O there. Now you see I've not left a gap there because I want the heart to come over the letters. And then I will start playing around once again by creating, let's say, an arrow there, maybe an arrow there. And the steps are simple. So when you put another piece of paper on top of it, you've got something like, I'll just show you right now. So we got the Z with the arrow, we got the heart, and this time I'll stick all of that as one. There, and just like that. We take that off. So we've got, and this is the thing, people will not able to read that, but this is the whole part of graffiti. When you start creating stuff, you can do it well, you know. So with the Z, we can take a black, we could even do like an eye there, and we could probably take the black and do a bit of orange, and create a character. And this is amazing because you could use your imagination by creating just simple art, and that's the beauty about this. So what I'm going to teach you next is I'm going to go back to which one shall I go back to? I'll go back to the fire one. So with the fire one, I could even also put stars here, you know, stars there, a star there. How about, and so if you're doing big stars, do a small star, big star, small star, big star, small star. Right, the next thing I'm going to teach you quickly is how to draw a spray can. So it's like a wedge there. There's a tiny dot there, right? And you draw a line there. Then you do like a hill. And you do the other way as well. And then from here, you take that there. From here and round we go. And at the bottom we could do the same, and we could do some bubbles. And we could write our own names, so I could write Busy, and however you guys want it, you could put in thin lines here as they are. Okay, you color that in, and the spray can represent an eye as well. So if I was to write something with an eye, I could do the word what shall we do? Let's say love, heart colored in, keeping that curve. I love, what do we love? What do we love? I go in with the green. I could do I love art. So I'm just going to write the word art. So here we go. And I'm going to leave a gap, as you see. And I'm going to just do the R from here, there, leaving a gap. And I'll probably stretch out the T around there. So there we are. I love art. So guys, I hope you have taken so much in today. A lot of value in this. So we've done that. We've created that. And that. And that. And that. And that. And yes. So please, guys, go out there. Have a good time. Be imaginative. Open the box in your head. Think wild, add intrinsic stuff, think of anything, even leaves, you know, be magical. And you guys have got it just as I have, right? Use your full potential and get it out there. Right, I'm going to be out of here. I hope you enjoyed this. A lot of value in this. God bless you. See you soon. Bye.